Hi, welcome back to Sky and Thread. I'm Kelly. We're doing another tarot flip through. I look the same as my last video because I'm recording these all in one day when I have free time, because as much as I love reading tarot, I also have a day job that is not tarot and demands a lot of my time. So we're gonna go ahead and try to get as many of these done today. I just happened to get a lot of decks, and this month, I mean, October and November are like the tarot months. And so I decided to start the channel and do everything while, you know, they're hot off the press, I guess. Although this one isn't so hot off the press, it's just new to me. Actually, I got in on the last round of like first editions of this. I believe he is now printing the creator, yeah, Eads. It's James R Eads. I always want to say Reads and I know it's wrong. So yeah, James R Eads. Creates beautiful art. Really love his art style. He just went on, I think, printing the second edition now, and the way you can tell, I mean, besides the box, what edition you have is this first card, which is, for everyone it'll be different. This little mystery card, the additional card, this one's Sleeping Ships. I'm not sure what the second edition one is, but I know he'll have pictures of that and stuff on his site, which I will definitely link below. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some really cool aspects of this deck and talk about it with you. And tell you what my first impressions. Again, I've worked with this very little. The whole concept of this deck is it's about past life and the journey of the soul. So while it does follow a lot of RWS features, which we'll talk about, it also has kind of its own unique take on things, especially with the major arcana. Though I think if you know the numbering system, you'll definitely see the connection there. So yeah, so this is the first card that comes with it. And then we have Death as the Fool. So this is the beginning, obviously, of your journey to your next life. And the story is that these are supposed to take you through your journey from one life to the next. So instead of people, you're going to meet the birds that kind of are your psychopomps or your guides. You know, so your first is your crow.
Oops. And then your swan, or your high priestess figure. The peacock. Your pelican.
Don't go too slow through these, since I definitely take my time in the flip throughs, hopefully. You know, if you need to go back and revisit a card, they should all have a good amount of time up there. You know, like the Lovers as Soulmates, which is really cool. The Spirit Plane, like some of these are pretty busy. Seems to be a theme with me. I like a lot going on in my cards, but it's also just kind of lends itself to his art style. Is very liney. I don't know the exact word, but he works with like a lot of lines to create energy and flow in the pieces. I believe this is our strength card, the orbs. So some of these I'm working on getting the meanings down, especially in the major arcana and the quartz. When you see how the different spin they've done on the quartz is really cool.
So, your life map, I thought that's really cool. Really interesting. I think this is our justice card, it's karma. Or it could be me linking those two concepts, but I'm pretty sure. Sacrifice.
And then our death card is past life card in this deck. So, we start off with death, and then we start showing our past lives. You know, what we're letting go of, right? The maze. Then our devil is the vessel, so like being locked in, losing our freedom in many ways. You know, the shore. I don't know, this just reminds me of like the beaches of Normandy or something, like a war going on. That's what I think of every time I look at this, with all the, you know, I don't know if it's meteors or missiles or whatever is falling. The veil. The bridge. You can see what I'm saying. It creates like this really great like energy in the pieces. I just love it. Light and energy with the dark background. Like I said, this is going to be a deck I definitely work with for myself. English is hard today. Work with for myself. I'd love to start doing past life readings for people, but until I kind of feel like I've mastered this deck, I just definitely don't think I'm going to do it with this deck. But I just think it would be such an amazing tool for that. If you do past life readings, I want to know if you've used this deck. Does it work for you? I'm really, really interested. Okay, so the majors are cool, but also, did you see that hollow foil gilding? It's so cool. Now, what I love and kind of what sold me on this deck is the minors. And that's because the minors all connect and tell a story. I believe the quartz do too when we get there. But yeah, you see they all kind of connect and, you know, make one long, you know, piece together, which I just think is super cool, you know, because usually we'll see color themes or different through lines for a lot of tarot decks, but this one he just connected, and I believe all his decks do this. So this is the third. I think he technically calls this one Oracle. I think it's a Cosma Visions Oracle, but it definitely has tarot elements. I just think he's trying to reimagine the tarot, so he doesn't want to call it and misguide people who would pick it up thinking it works just like a tarot. Kind of reminds me a lot too, in a comparison, maybe a little unfairly, but of the Dreams of Gaia, which is kind of like another tarot oracle style that kind of takes from tarot, takes from oracle, and kind of does its own thing with it, which I really like. So then we have Embers, which is obviously our fire suit, our wand suit, and now we have the Ace of Lotuses, and it has its own colorways, and I really, really love it. And I think this is how you can tell when we get to the quartz, kind of what court suit they are. They stand on their own, but they definitely have show you their elements, which will lead you back to these. I will say these cards feel thin. The only thing I don't like is I think I can bend them very easily because I tend to be rough with my cards. I don't know, it's just part of what I do, or I feel like I gotta be hands-on and get my energy in and out of there, and sometimes I'm a little rough. I don't mean to be, but I am. I don't know, just me. I keep telling myself I need to be more careful, but you know, a lot of times when I'm reading, I'm in my head, you know? I'm trying to do my empath thing, and sometimes what my hands are doing is the last thing I'm thinking about. So yeah, that's the only thing to be careful is if you're a rough shuffler, if you like riffle shuffling, this deck is a little sensitive. And then this is our air suit. This is our birds. A lot of bird references in this deck, but I kind of love that. I'm a bird person. Not that I've ever had birds as pet, but I love like bird watching, and I don't know. I just think birds have a lot of personality. They're a good animal to, I relate to them, I guess. You know, so it has a lot of cool stuff. I love like the 8 of Swords here, you know, that feeling trapped. They're literally in a tornado. You know, we have that 6 of Swords for traveling, and there's airplanes. So it is putting it more in the air, because I think traditionally you would see that 6 of Swords in a boat, right? They're talking about their kind of emotions, where here they're up in a plane in the air. So depending how you read, you know, this may lean more to that really elemental feeling of the tarot, which I'm always drawn to. So let's see. I think we got one more, and then I'll show you the really cool quartz going on in here. I think as much as I love reversals and reading with them, I don't know if I can do that with this deck. And the backs are not reversible. So I don't know. maybe eventually if I got really, really comfortable with this deck, I would start reading reversals because I really like reversals. There's lots of decks that say not to be reading with the reversals, that I do it anyway because I'm like, you come arrest me if you don't like it. I don't, you know, the rules aren't free, or the rules are made to be broken. It's about what works for me. If you don't like how I work, that's fine. I don't care. I don't care. As long as I get my results, I'm happy. And then we have our trees, which I believe is our pentacles suit, because we had our embers for the fire. So it is a little confusing here because I definitely want to say wands and trees, but they're not. They're the pentacles. This is our earth suit. So that is something to keep in mind if you kind of just like, you know, limbs and bark and tree, you know, that tree element as fire has been like really ingrained for us if you learned on an RWS. So obviously I wouldn't say this deck is for beginners, but at the same time, I do think it has a really good guidebook. So if you're interested in learning on this deck, I think you totally can. I just think there's some references to RWS you probably won't understand at first, but I don't think it'll impede on you actually using this to do readings for yourself or for others. So yeah, maybe it'll be a little harder for you to learn, but it's definitely doable if it's your first deck. So I would say if you feel drawn to it, you know, check it out. But yeah, and I really love kind of the building here. Like we start to see how the work has paid off, just like in the Pentacles. You know, you start to see the luxury and the money add up. You know, the culmination of all your hard work, and here it shows, kind of starting off small and it's slowly just getting bigger. You know, it starts with that first seed. So I think that's really, really cool. And again, I just love the artwork. I love the way he paints skies and the colorways. It's got that kind of cool tone. Even I think in the fire suits, it's definitely got a lot of purpley, you know, tones to it. I think it's got a lot of cool tones, which I like. And then here's the suit of archetypes. So you could almost take this out. If you do personality readings like I do, you can almost just take this portion of the deck out and use it for personality readings, which I think is really cool. You know, obviously any type of archetypes you're looking for, but also these are your court cards. So you'll see this is our Embers court here, and they all meet, right? Now, I don't know if they actually connect with the end of the Embers suit. Let's find out. Where's my tin? Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Okay. What did I do? Did I put it back wrong? Okay, I must have put this back wrong. So, yeah, it doesn't actually match with the end of the Embers, but we can see how much fire element is in here, and that this is definitely your quartz for your fire suit. So, you know, your page, knight, king, or queen and king, right? So they connect. And then we're gonna have our lotuses, our water suit. And these, again, they connect for your page, your knight, your queen, and your king. You know, obviously that knight of cups is still your romantic, you know, is still your kind of lover card, your pursuit of romance card. So I like that. But I also like some of the other, you know, composer aspects. And then I believe this is our, this is our pentacles. I did these in the order that it was the book. Like I said, I had played with this deck before. It was out of order, so I put it back in order the way it is in the book. So it's interesting because in the book, I believe they put the birds before the trees, and then in the quartz they didn't, but who cares, you know? So yeah, so these are your, you know, obviously your geomancer. These are your pentacles. The Pathfinder card is really cool. It's kind of like the jaguar, big cat energy there. And then we have our birds, so, or our air suit. So the Weaver, the Fighter, the Dreamer, and the Elementalist. So it's kind of cool that the Air King is the Elementalist. Now I do think there are some Rider-Waite-Smith tropes they went through, and some of these definitely seem like they went their own way with it. So again, there's a lot to learn if you're used to RWS and trying to move over to this system, to this Oracle. But I do think there's a lot too that's already there that you'll recognize. So I really like this. I thought it was super cool. Again, I really love his artwork, but I wasn't really drawn to the first 2 decks that he's done, or they've done. I saw this one and I fell in love with it. But if you do like this deck, you should definitely check out the other ones because the art style is very similar. And there's a lot of really cool things going on with those decks too. And I'm sure there's a lot of flip throughs of them if you're interested in seeing them a little bit up close. So I don't know, maybe the more I work with this, the more I'll get interested in these other decks. But for now, this was definitely the one that called to me. And I wanted to share it with you guys. So let me know what you think. Do you work with it? Again, how well does it work for you for past life readings? You know, does the similarities to RWS throw you off more than it helps you? Was this the first deck you ever bought? Was it hard for you to learn with? I'm curious if you like it, how it's working for you. I definitely want to spend more time with it and work with it more. It's just one of those decks that I have to be in a very specific mood or looking for a specific answer more so than just like general reading. So I don't get to dig into it as much as I'd like, but I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I'm really happy I got in on like that tail end of the first edition. So I hope maybe with the second edition, he ups the quality of the cardstock. That's the only complaint I really have is the cardstock. It feels a little soft, especially like this box is so nice. It's very high quality. Everything else is super high quality, and the colors of these cards, I mean, you get what, 79 pages of amazing artwork, so it's hard to complain. And the price is good, so I think it's pretty reasonable. So I'll link them below. Thank you for watching this video. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.